Welcome to the balcony farm. It's November 2025. And the garden is doing okay. Thinking about what to grow for this season. I have some seeds I'm thinking about, but I haven't quite decided yet. And today, actually, I was supposed to sow some seeds and do some work on this garden, but I didn't get around to it, and now I have to go. And that just keeps happening. So this garden is a bit neglected, has been. And one of the reasons that keeps happening is because, well, life happens, but also every time I get time off, I try and do some future planning, especially around retirement. And that's a never-ending process, always tweaking and thinking about things, trying to figure things out. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? Am I on track? I have become really obsessed with retirement. And I'm not even close, on paper at least, I'm decades away from its retirement. But I'm trying as best as I can to expedite my retirement plans. And I would say I'm in that awkward space between having worked for decades, but still being decades away from retirement, and just thinking about that and how untenable that is, given the way things are, and really trying to expedite things. So I guess it's that awkward space between work and retirement, I would say. And I would like to think that I'm closer to retirement than I should be on paper if I do certain things. So that's what I try and do whenever I get time. And without giving too much away, because, this is the internet, can't give too much away, but I am on top of my finances. I have been for years, especially since COVID, actually. COVID really gave me time to think and change the course in many ways, and I'm very grateful for that. I meant what I was able to do, not COVID itself. And I have a good work pension, but obviously the default plan isn't great. For anybody who's into this, you will know that sticking with the default plan at work isn't always a good option for many people, especially if you're not close to retirement. So if you take anything away from this video, go and check what your default is, what your default pension plan is at work, what it looks like, where it's invested. Is it equities? Is it 100% equities? Does it have bonds? Does it have cash? If it is equities, what's the geographic diversification? And if you're in the UK, you will know that a lot of default plans are overweight on UK equities for lots of reasons. You might want to keep it that way, that's up to you, but at least find out what the geographic diversification is and whether or not that's in line with best practice and with the returns that you want to achieve. What's your exposure to different regions, especially the growth regions, and where historical and future. So for that reason, I have been out of the default pension plan for actually many years. And I think that has done me well, because when I was in the default plan, and I was for a significant period of my working, my career, the pension was doing very poorly. I would see the statements and I would just be appalled, but I wouldn't do anything about it because I was busy, or I'd put it off, or I just didn't do anything about it because I was caught up with other things, which one of my biggest regrets. But anyway, I managed to fix it, and that's been fixed. And having my own also stocks and shares ISA, that's helping me to be on track. I don't keep, most of my money is not in a savings or cash. It's in the stock market. I have an emergency fund, but beyond that, it's all invested. I have a frugal, minimalist lifestyle, even though I live in an expensive part of town. So really, it's my living arrangement that the next big thing I need to fix is turn this flats where I live into an asset. At the moment, it's not quite, but it could be. And it's also part of my retirement plan, because I plan to hopefully retire early. And I've looked into what that would look like, the projections. I've done various kinds of projections. With all the limitations, it's at least doing some kind of projections and forward planning does help. Gives you some idea of what you could earn from your savings, your investments, potential annuity, what the annuity income could look like, whether it's you annualize, you use part of your pension pot for annuity income, or all of it, whether you take a lump sum or not, what that would look like, whether you have some kind of bridging option if you retire early. Say you retire at 50 and there's a gap between that and when you can touch your pension and when you can receive your state pension, and what kind of bridge financing you can create in between to tide you over, whether or not you can receive rental income. So for me, I'm looking at those a mixed portfolio when it comes to income of rental, some potentially annuity, but it really depends on what the rates are. I've looked at what the rates could look like, but it really depends. But it's an option. I wouldn't rule it out. Or I would rely on drawdown until I'm closer to the age when I can access my pension pot. Anyway, it's good to think. The point is, it's good to think about these things ahead of time, well ahead of time, and do what you can so it's not too overwhelming when you get to it. And I do want to retire early for lots of reasons, and I have plenty I'll be able to do in my time as well. That is also something I think about. It's not just about stopping working for me, not at all. There are so many things I want to do. If you watched my channel before, you will know my interest in gardening, farming. I'm really interested in growing food and farming, and I have been able to do it part-time. I work part-time specifically for that reason, but I would love to do that. Not full-time, but at least for half of my week. That's something I can do. and other things. I have lots of interests outside of work, really. I would fill my time and more. I would have no trouble filling my time. And I would also make time for rest, to relax. I love doing that too. Walking, going to the gym, going to the spa, traveling, slow traveling especially. I like to take my time. Even when I staycation in the UK, I take my time. I don't like rushing. So every moment I get, I'm planning my retirement, even though I am, in theory, decades away. And sometimes it feels grim, the outlook for retirement. It looks bleak in many ways. And it can be a challenge to break through that thinking and just have some hope. But I do believe I have some agency, I have some control over my life, and I'll focus on the things that I can control. And I'll work on the things that I can to make sure that I don't need to work any longer than I have to. Be resourceful, make sure I'm on top of my finances, be laser focused on my finances. I heard somebody say the other day, instead of binge watching Netflix or whatever, binge watch your finances, she said. Her name is Libria Jones, if you want to check her out. She has a YouTube channel. Binge watch your finances. Obviously, it's not good to obsess about money, but now more than ever, we really need to keep on top of our finances and do what we can and be resourceful and try and have some control and be smart and do what we can. Don't just assume you can't do. There's lots of things, I understand, there are lots of things that are beyond our control. It's not easy, but it's doable. Read, watch YouTube, there's plenty of resources. Learn. If I had known the things that I know now in my early 20s, I would probably be retired by now. Even as a late starter, I've made huge advances in managing my money, despite coming from a background where that isn't really a thing. So, especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, there are things you can do now to secure your future and to gain some control. And just as an aside, there's so many parallels with farming, gardening, growing things, and the patience required to grow organically, slowly, sustainably, in terms of farming and gardening. There are parallels between that and finances and managing your finances. I often think about that as I'm out here in my small space garden, or balcony farm as I like to call it. The benefits of just doing things consistently, observing, making tweaks here and there, not trying to move too fast, and try and move at a more natural pace, learning from nature, learning from others. Anyway, it's just some thoughts on that, because I am in that space between work and retirement, which I hope is closer than decades. I really hope it's closer, and I'm doing everything I can to make it so that I'm not trapped in a cycle and in a lifestyle and in a world that just doesn't align with me, so that I just get from the system what I need and then go and do my own thing. That's my plan. So if you're in the same boat, I hope you're having some success and making the time to plot your escape and find your own way to freedom and to peace and to a way of life that aligns with your values. Good luck. Don't give up. Keep going. Thank you for watching. And if you're interested in balcony farming, balcony gardening, that's what I normally talk about. Today is just a little distraction, a break from that. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.